Later, concentrated on the older fridges from around about 84 through to 95, 96. Pretty much, there's not much difference between any of those fridges. On a bit of paper that's gone out is a diagram of a fridge, or the working components of your fridge. And that's looking as if you stood with the door open, looking through the fridge with nothing there, and you're looking at the back of the fridge. But if you haven't got to go outside and look at it, this is what it would look like if you can take everything out the way to look at it. An absorption refrigerator works on the basic principle of providing heat that will mix a chemical cocktail up to the point where it evaporates. That will then travel up the boiler tube, through the cooling fins, start to condense, then forced by the back pressure through a tiny little jet into the evaporation tube inside the fridge. If we evaporate a liquid quickly, it goes very cold. It then absorbs the heat in the fridge, carries it back inside. Absorption refrigerator. It was invented by a guy called Albert Einstein. Surprisingly, he is the father of the absorption refrigerator. All we have to worry about on an absorption refrigerator is there a heat source? Once we've got a heat source that we know is good and working properly, we can tell you whether the fridge is going to ever work or not. So the first thing most people go is, my fridge isn't getting cold. And the first question we say is that on everything? Or is it just on the gas? Because the gas is the one that gives most people trouble. So if your fridge isn't working, plug it into the mains, make sure you've got 240 volt to it, switch it on, turn the thermostat mode up, leave it for 24 hours. I don't think it's going to get cooked. If it hasn't worked for a long time, it won't work. So that chemical cocktail in the back has got to start to work and mix itself. If they've stood for an awfully long time, you've got a problem where the chemical cocktail actually separates out. There's 5 different chemicals in the cocktail, and we'll get the top 2 rushing around the system, doing nothing. And they're not picking the other chemicals up, so we're not getting the right procedure happening inside the fridge. So the fridge will sit there, listen down and down and down, and the bit that doesn't work, just sat in the reservoir on the back and doing nothing. This is the point where everybody says, "I'll check it out and stand it upside down." Yeah, let's kill the fridge. In your fridge at the top, it doesn't show it on the diagram very well, unfortunately, but at the top, the little tube comes up and over. And just beyond that, there's a little tube that goes into your fridge, inside a bigger tube. And the end of that is the evaporation jet. You can't get at it, you can't clean it, you can't do anything with it. Particles of muck in the reservoir, if you turn that fridge upside down, will sit in that jet and block it, and that's the end of the fridge. There's nothing we can do about that, apart from hope we can back roll it, and about 1 in 80 we get to clear and go again. So don't, whatever you do, stand your fridge upside down. If a fridge needs chemicals mixing, the first thing we would say they could do is light the gas, plug it into the mains at the same time, wait until it's feeling that hot at the back you think it's going to burst into flames or something, and then drive up and down a bumpy road.
Anywhere in England?
Anywhere in England you can do that.
Scotland or Wales?
Half an hour or so driving up and down a bumpy road, 9 times out of 10, that's the last we hear of the customer. They sorted, they've gone back to the mains off the fridges get cold. I ain't made a penny.
It's not cable as well.
Hot dogs, if everybody interested in how we get paid. Chocolate hot dogs, preferably.
And not any hot dogs.
No, got the chocolate hot dogs. So that's the basic principle of the fridge. We have a chemical, we have 3 heat sources. We need to boil the chemical, we need to make it go around the system, then we need to condense it back into a liquid, and we need to force it through a tiny jet, let it expand, evaporate, collect the heat in your fridge, carry it back outside, down the cooling chambers, back into the reservoir, and round the system it goes. It reaches an optimum. After about 45-50 minutes, chemicals are mixing properly, it's now at optimum speed. That's at the point when you can start to feel cold in your fridge. And if you're not, after about 40 minutes feeling, it's that getting cold, isn't it? Take a bit longer, go, give it a couple of hours. And If it's been cold the week before and now it's not getting cold, you've got a problem. You're either not providing a big enough heat source, or the outside temperature is too hot for your fridge. An absorption refrigerator built into a classic Hymer, around about 25 degrees will start to deteriorate in performance. There's pure airflow across the cooling fins at the back. They stick them in a box, they don't put enough airflow on. How many B544s we got? Yeah, that's the worst of all.
Who sold you that?
What they did, they took a fridge with all the stuff on the back of it and put the vents inside. Yeah, Hymer are good, but they got that one way wrong. And then to try and help those of you with older B544s, down the back of your cooker top, they drilled some holes. So you can gas yourself as well. Those of you that look over the back of your cooker, there's a little one, there's a row of holes, stick some tape over it please, block it off, don't leave it. Tiny little flame in a fridge, stands 50 to 60 millimetres tall. And it's burning well, tiny thing, 120 watts is its maximum capacity. If you stick a dead fly in the edge of the burner, I can produce enough carbon monoxide out on those fridges in 4 hours to kill 50 people. In a household-sized room, let alone in all of the van. So take those things up. Anybody putting a new fridge in at any time, you'll find there's new laws involved now. They have to be by law room sealed. We are not allowed to fit a fridge into a van nowadays. They're fully sealing it, so they don't even put a flue outside now. That's how strict they are about how we fit a fridge. So all of those fumes that can be in the back of your fridge have to go out through the vent. It has to be fully room sealed, almost glued in around the fridge, to make sure anything goes out of the vent and can't come into the van. The fridge burning properly, clean, serviced, perfect burn, nothing impinging the flame. I could stick the whole thing in the middle of your living room. It can give you a headache. Don't produce enough carbon dioxide, don't produce enough carbon monoxide. But the design of it and the way it operates, it takes so little to impinge the flame and create carbon monoxide. That's... Look after your fridges. If it smells funny, it is funny. There's something wrong with it. Yes, Mr. George, particularly for the walls. We can't mend them all. We've had a battle with Steve's fridge for 4 years now trying to get the thing.
We got it all now, haven't we? Maybe.
We still don't know what we've got. We've drained the flue, we've lined the flue, we've put new baffles in it, put new burners on it, put new jets on it. And still every 3 or 4 months it starts producing smoke and he has to turn it off and come back to us. So don't think everything is just mendable. Some of these fridges are that old that somewhere down the line in the next few months we're going to condemn the thing and it's going to have to have a new fridge.
Oh, my poor fridge.
So how did that show up? How do you know every few months that it's not? Is it?
He gets a phone call off me.
No, but how do you know then? Does it smell funny?
Smells, it stinks.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's been like that forever. It's just a funny fridge I got.
Right.
We get on well though.
Stinks of carbon or stinks of what?
Well, okay, whatever you do, don't do what me and Steve do, which is stick a nose in the fridge flue and start having a sniff. That's why my brain cells are a bit addled, because you keep pumping carbon monoxide into it. It's such a small amount of carbon monoxide to kill you, it ain't worth messing around with. And surprisingly, the fridge, the smallest flame in your van is the most dangerous. It's the one most likely to kill people in a van, because these old vans aren't young sealed. So the fumes and things, if they're wrong and your flue ain't right or the wind's just blowing, and little lazy teas letting the fumes spew out the back as it's designed to do, that's coming into your van. And a fridge burner needs to be serviced annually.
Sorry, Peter. It smells outside the van, not inside. So you don't open the fridge.
No, there's no smell inside the fridge, this is outside of the fridge.
Outside of there.
And 999 times out of 1,000, the smell is outside of the van. It's not even just in the back of the fridge, it's outside of the van. Everything's doing its job properly, it's designed where possible to carry those fumes away and all the rest of it. But back when these vans were built, we didn't have the test equipment to prove what happened, so they let them get away without room sealing. In 2004, European law found that all mobile refrigeration systems fitted into leisure vehicles must be fully green sealed. You cannot, even yourself, it's a law, it's not a guidance, it's a law. If you buy a fridge yourself, you don't fit it yourself, by law, you have to green seal it. You can't take your old fridge out and bang a new fridge in and it fits in the same hole. You've broken the law. Not done something silly, you've broken the law. And on a campsite, if somebody in the van next door dies, and it's unlikely, but there's enough carbon monoxide can come out of them, or you've took your grandchildren away and they die or you've done for manslaughter. And it has had, something has been done for manslaughter. The law has been enforced.
And if you had a carbon monoxide detector inside the van, would it pick up?
Yes.
It would.
I got one. I got a really nice one.
A carbon monoxide detector, £7 for a cheap one, 30 quid for one of the last 7 years. They just stick on the wall, pull the tag out, save your life. You know, if you haven't got one, the reason I haven't mentioned you might be a bit surprised, really, but it's popping big. Fire Angel, make a really good one, 7-year monitor. For 47 quid, they built a combined unit. It does both smoke alarm and carbon monoxide. I'm not quite so keen on them because carbon monoxide alarm should be fitted in your van approximately level with where your head will be when you are sleeping. Okay? That's the guidance. So if you've got low bed and high bed, you stick about halfway between the two. But you don't stick them up here. Because by the time carbon monoxide gets up there, it's their chance you'll sleep going to 10. So carbon monoxide detectors, probably the best accessory to your old fridge there is, really. Fire Angel. Not promoting them about anything else, it's just...
a really good one. That gives you, then tells you the ppm.
Oh, let's frighten everybody there. Isn't it? Does it tell you what? Does it tell you how many parts per million can kill you?
No.
Yeah? Okay. If I took half of that tent and sealed it, then through your average bag packet full of carbon monoxide in there, put you all in there, fill you all. You sit in there for long enough, you'll all be dead. Just a bag packet full, not half of this room. When we test fridges and any gas appliances, we put flue gas analyzer in, and we are looking for less than 9 parts per million before we'll pass it. It's been safe. 9 parts per million or less is what we're looking for. Then we'll say, that's all right, we'll let that one go. We tend to think some of these doing anything much above 4 or 5 parts per million on a fridge. Heaters and things with balanced flues, so we'll let them get up to 9, 10, 15, 27 we're allowed on some. Cookers and ovens, we're looking for 0. We use a 1 waft, check that, don't want anything. So that's how little. You don't know it's doing it. It's odorless, tasteless, can't smell it. When we say we can smell it, what we're smelling is the cause of it, which will be some carbon dust, something like that. If you've got black streaks around your fridge flue, you've got a fault with your fridge. If you've got water running down the wall on the outside below your fridge flue, perfect. All we should have coming out that flue is a bit of carbon dioxide, some excess air, some excess oxygen, and some H2O. That's all there should be coming out the flue if it's burning perfectly. A little bit at the bottom there, circled in red. Bear with me a second.
Oh, that one.
I can't get it out. Somebody's jammed it in there. Somebody's had to go with a screwdriver to get it out. And they've done all sorts with it. We took this out of a van where we did £4,500 worth of repair work after a fire from a fridge. This has been worked on by a mobile caravan engineer. and so say cleaned, serviced and replaced. Passing around, if you look straight down the end, you'll see a little silver thing with a tiny hole in the end. And it's distorted and horrible where he's tried to force it out with a screwdriver and didn't succeed and then stuck it back in. The hole in there is a few microns across. And it's in a very thin piece of stainless steel. And people say, oh, you get them blocks, you have to get a pin and clean them out. Yeah, the moment you go pop with a pin, you've doubled the size, which is doubled the size of your burn, which is treble up your chances of getting carbon monoxide, and quadruple the amount of carbon monoxide you'll get when it happens. They are a replaceable item. Depending on where you buy them from, it's between 12 and 17 pounds for a new jet. If ever you take your fridge burner off or are intending to, pick up the phone, ring somebody, order a jet, have it ready. Because you will not, 9 times out of 10, get them out without destroying them. So they just get jammed in there. Occasionally we pick a burner up and we go tap tap and the jet falls out. But it's rare, very rare. That happens if somebody's got a fridge that we've seen regularly, because we do that every time we get the jet out, give it a good clean, we can look at it, check it, put it back in. But if you've had to force it out in any way, as in a screwdriver or lever, it's ruined. You absolutely ruined it. You'll never get it burned perfectly again. And if you've touched it with a pin or a needle, it's ruined. It will not be an accurate enough measurement of gas coming through that hole into the burner chamber. Your gas on 95% of the vans that we're talking about will be operating at 50 millibars. If you've got a van built by Hymer between 1972 and 1994, and I'll come to a few exceptions in a minute, it will almost guarantee the 50 millibars gas pressure. And that little hole only operates correctly with 50 millibars of gas pressure pushing the jet through. So if you've got a van of that age and it's left-hand drive, that's quite important to begin with, first I say it's left-hand. And it's a left-hand drive, that's 99.9% certain to be 50 millibars. The one option difference there is if it was purchased originally new in France, and then you'll get a left-hand drive that's 30 millibars. If you've got a right-hand drive and it was built after 1992, there's a fair chance it will be 30 millibars, because they built specific vans for the UK with a different gas pressure.
We are 1992 right-hand drive, so
We need to see it to be certain.
right.
I can't say one way or another just like that. We need to look at it to be certain. For those of you in doubt, if you've got the Truma heater in there, the S3002, the SC3002, or any of the S-series nice space heater, take the cover off, and where the flue comes out normally to the left-hand side, and you've got the igniter block in front, just slide the igniter block forward, clean underneath where the flue pipe is with a cloth, you'll see there's a data plate. This is the data plate in the van that will give us information about your gas pressures that allows us to tell you what's happening back with your fridge. And on it will give the millibars that the van was designed to operate at. And it appears to be the only one that nobody messes with. It's the one we can find and we would believe is true. Occasionally, well, I think once in 5 years we found one, and that don't ring true. And that was a right-hand drive 92 van. This one, you stuck a 50 millibar fridge into a 50 millibar heater into a 30 millibar van. That's the only one we've ever come across. All the others, that data plate pretty much tells us exactly what we want to know. If it says 50 millibars, you get your gas socket and your gas socket, you've got a propane bottle sat there with a 37 millibar regulator on it. Your fridge is trying to operate with approximately 20% less gas than it needs. And that will give you a weak flame, flame impingement, carbon monoxide, poor cooling, all sorts of things. The smaller the burner, the more important it is for us to get gas pressure as well. That tiny little burner in your fridge, it has to be the right gas pressure feeding.
If you've got the wrong burner in the fridge for the bottles, can you get another burner for it?
The burners are fine, it's the jet.
The jet, can you
Yeah,
get
the-
the jet for it?
yeah.
37 millibar.
Yeah,
Oh, you can.
yeah, but then what's happening with your heater? It should be 50 millibars, or your boiler, it should be 50 millibars, or your hob. Those of you probably on 37 millibars, your kettle's takes too long to boil, it should be on 50. Your hob's burning at 20% less efficiency than it should.
So what's the answer to that?
50 millibar regulator on. It is that simple. A company called BES, Birmingham Electrical and Plumbing Supplies, £3.95 I think for a 50 millibar propane regulator. And it's literally that simple. If you come to us, we tend not to put bottle regulators on. We'll try and convert everybody we possibly can to a bulkhead regulator built into the gas locker so that is fixed. People can't mess around with it. And you have a hose, a high pressure hose, and your bottle to the regulator. And it don't matter what gases you put in there, you just swap the hose to fit the different bottles, and your regulator's fixed in so you can go off to Europe. If I've got to go down to the local supermarket and buy one of their gas bottles, and they'll sell me a gas bottle and I can buy a hose to suit, because that fitting on the regulator is a European standard. So you just screw the hose on there and onto the bottle, and then you're always guaranteed to be running at the right pressure. Once we've got the pressure right coming down there through that tiny little hole, and please nobody pinch that burner, it's lethal. It'll kill somebody if they try and do anything with it. If you've got a tiny little hole, the gas is going to pass through there, and in the rest of the burner you'll see there's a tube going on from it, 2 holes at the side, and the burner crown. 2 holes are called the ventura. The gas speed, which is regulated by the gas pressure in the side of the hole, is what dictates how much air it sucks in through those tiny holes at the side. Just over 7 milligrams, I think, when they're properly clean. We're allowed to let them get restricted with the rust and muck and stuff down to about 5.5, 6 mil. We usually pick up a 5.5 mil drill and just go straight through and clean them out. Doesn't touch the jet, as long as you've got the jet out. If you try doing that with the jet still jammed in there, that's it, the jet's gone as well. Because it just protrudes past the back surface of those holes, so it creates an inrush of air into the burner chamber. It mixes, comes through the burner crown, ignites with igniter, and we should see a nice flame about this tall. It should have a blue core to it, around about 25 to 30 mil, and a little yellow tip. If you're running on propane, which is what your vans are truly designed to run on. You can run on butane, but I wouldn't bother. I don't get putting butane on these old vans. They were never designed for it. They were designed to run on commercial propane, which is the stuff you put in a bottle. And they will run well on it. Sorry?
Gas that gets cars.
Yeah, it's propane. That's propane. Yeah, it's LPG that you go and buy in the garage when you're filling bottles and tanks. That's propane. They mix butane with it, but propane that you buy in a bottle has got some butane in it. The difference is you need at least 50% propane on a burner that was truly designed to run on propane. The moment you start just running it the other way around, about 75-80% butane and a bit of propane, you get a weaker flame and get more yellow in it. So we've got the right gas, got the right pressure, going through the right size hole, drawing the right amount of air in, and travelling up through a burner crown that should look clean, with a series of holes around the centre hole. And that comes through there where it creates what's called the secondary air draft. When you look into the bottom of your fridge, you'll see the burner sits into a 3-pronged cup, pushes up into a single screw, holding it in place, 3 gaps. Those 3 gaps are important. That's your secondary air draft. That's the bit that keeps the flame tall and straight, not wafty and horrible. That means your burner sits nicely in the centre of the burner tube, goes up there, sat in it. If you look at the top of the drawing, there's a twisty spiraling bit along a bit of wire. And that hangs down just above the top of the flame. And that's called the burner baffle. And the idea of that is it spirals the gases, slowing them down, So as they give up the maximum amount of heat, which is then controlled by the amount of twisting. Please don't try and make one of these. If yours is gone, somebody opens a fridge up and you haven't got one, don't try and make one, contact somebody, get one. They're not that expensive. They don't always come with the right one, but they're ever so easy to position correctly. It's one of the few things we'll tell you exactly how to do. You'll see the two holes where the 12 volt and two 40 volt elements fit into the boiler chamber. They clamp onto it through two little steel tubes and they just push in. And your elements are about so long, L-shaped, and they sit down there like that. When you're going to make a new baffle or a new baffle hanging wire, I'd recommend a thin bit of stainless steel wire, so it's not going to rust like your original steel. You bend a hoop on it, you hang your baffle on it, you put it down. It's on the outside, you just hang it on the outside until the baffle sits in exactly the same place as where those elements fit. And you put a little hook on the top, so when you hang it in, it hangs in exactly the same place. So it's restricting the heat flow at the point where it's most required for boiling the gases correctly. So if you go too short, then the gases travel past the bit where the heat has travelled past the bit where it's most wanted before it starts going to give itself up. If you get it too long, it disturbs the flame, makes it dangerous. It's important it's in that place. And it differs on fridge models, on years. So we can't say, oh, make them all this long, because they are different lengths over years. So we've got the heat now going into that fluid and chemical from the gas burner, and I've explained how that works, goes round, does its job. Comes out the top in your fridges, and we have what's called a lazy T. And it's an angle about like that. Sits on the top, and it's open at the back, flattened and open, with a round tube at the front, and that comes up a pipe and out through the side wall of the van through your flue terminal.
Is that number 57 in the diagram? Is that number 57 in the diagram?
Yep, that's the bit. That's your lazy T, part number 57. And that comes out to the side of your van and carries the exhaust gases to burn to the outside atmosphere. That open bit on the far end is important. If your lazy T is lost, damaged, and you're looking at it, you must get a new one. So otherwise, every time the wind blows at the side of your van, it'll rush down the flue and put flame. That's not too annoying if you've got an electronic reigniter. It goes tick, tick, off and lights it again. But halfway through the night, when it's doing that every 10 minutes, you'll soon get fed up with that. And people that haven't got it, they've put the fridge out. The fridge is now going to 2 minutes south of that maximum. You'll shut the gas off and go, no, we ain't working. And you wake up in the morning and your freezer's defrosted and all the rest of it. So the lazy T is important. It stops the wind blowing your fridge out. Go on then, any questions about over there? Go on, I'll start here and work my way around. You will be on a KZ12 95% of the time. KZ12. K12, KZ12. If you buy in a fridge jet, the most helpful person you'll ever speak to is a guy called Jeff at Sword Crane Caravans. Sword Crane. And if you've got your fridge model number and serial number, which sometimes is still visible on that bit of paper stuck in the back, but 9 times we're going to get them. If you say to Jeff that Peter Crew at North Cotswold said, I need a $50 million jet, I want a KZ12, he'll make sure you get the right jet. Okay? If you've got more data about the actual item, Jeff is he carries more spares for the old fridges than anybody else will know. Yeah, Sword Crane will. Yeah, they're big. They supply all over the world. They ship parts all over the world. A little family company down in Devon somewhere, I think. I've never been there. I just pick up phone and order bits and Jeff make sure they're there. Yeah, try Sword Crane Caravans.
Is it true that if you run your gas fridge and the vehicle is not level, that is bad for gas fridge? Or will it just not run as well?
Okay. Everybody says, oh, my fridge didn't work, so I didn't park level. But it worked all right when I plugged in the mains. Yeah, it got nothing to do with whether you're level or not then. Your fridge operation on being level is dependent on how the fluid travels through it. got nothing to do with what the flame's doing. So if your fridge will work on 240 volt, it will work on 12 volt, it will work on gas. We so many times get, oh, it must have been the way we were parked, we plugged in the mains and it worked. Nothing to do with it. The flame, if you park your van at a level, will be carried by the secondary air draft in line with the burner tube. It won't go off to one side until you get to about 30, 35 degrees, then it struggles to cope. So you're going to be rolling out of bed long before your fridge is unhappy. But your fridge will start to deteriorate in performance once it's more than 3 degrees over level. And that's to do with the angle of the pipes on the back of your fridge. So if your fridge is stood there, that's your door. So your fridge is stood there like that. You tilt your fan like that, your fridge stops working so well. Tilt it like that, will make a lot of difference. Okay? So if that's down the side of your van and you're out of level that way, bad news. If it's across the back of the van and you're out of level, your fridge is still going to work.
Even a B544.
Actually, in a B544 with a fridge in the back, because it's across the back of the van, you can be quite out of level, and your fridge still works. I've got a 584, it's on the side. If I'm more than 3 degrees out of level, I start to suffer. It doesn't just stop it, it just makes it not so efficient. They stop working at around about 7 to 8 degrees. So it's got, the flame will go where it wants to go anytime you park your van and you're happy to sleep in it.
What's the best preventative maintenance you can do to keep it working properly?
Yeah, okay. Clean it with compressed air. I do not advocate people taking these things apart. It's what we end up with, and this shouldn't do this, is that's the bit that holds your jet in place. And people take them apart, and some of these pipes have got a bit brittle and they shear on and all that sort of thing. So we will not tell you to take a burner apart. If you do, and you've got it apart, and you then go, oh my God, please phone us. We'll help. We'll do what we can. I don't want people to kill themselves, but it is so easy to get that wrong. The two spanners you must have if you are going to do that. You must have a 12mm and an 11mm spanner. 12mm will grip the burner body. It fits perfectly around that square. And the 11mm will fit the original nut, which that isn't. This is what caused their fire, because that little bit there should be all part of the original pipe. It shouldn't be broken off and stuffed into something and used as a compression fitting. And that will allow you to grip that, or you undo that without distorting the pipe. Hold the pipe and rotate the burner to break the initial things. If you rotate the nut on the pipe, sometimes it's seized onto the pipe, twist the pipe, shears it, just like that one did. But if you're going to start doing it, get a new jet. Ideally, if you take it out and it's rusty like that, yeah, you can clean that up, but for 50 something quid for both burner and jet off Jeff, posted to you, and then it's good for another 20 years. It's a no-brainer, really. But I've been asked to wrap it up, so I think we've been talking quite that long.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah.
How long is the fridge meant to last? Because we've got a 1994 van, which is we bought recently.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's the original fridge.
Yeah, fridge lives. I've got a fridge in my workshop that I had given to me from when I first went to work back in 1982 at Auto Sleepers. We were given a fridge that was damaged in the stores to put in the workshop, to put no milk in. Still sit in my workshop, bowling away every day, never missed a beat. It's hardly ever been turned off. You don't do that with your fridge, you keep turning it off and parking it up. And each time you park it up and turn it up, the anti-corrosion chemicals that are part of that cocktail aren't going round and aren't doing their job, so we get a bit of corrosion in the system. And that is the killer of fridges. The more they're used, the less hassle they give us. People who live in their fridges have a bit of problem occasionally with burners sitting up the bottom of the fridge not working. People who use them for a fortnight here and there are always, oh, my fridge won't get cold, it won't do this, I'm always happy to do this. Leave the things on, and we never turn ours off. I take that and plug it in the mains, leave it churning away. It's using 120 watts, and not even then, not all the time. was keeping my fridge alive.
It's okay to have more than one source feeding your fridge. You got the
At the same time, no. It's, we use it occasionally as a repair aid, but we don't do it because all you're doing is making the fluids too hot, and then they're rushing too fast and they're not doing the job properly.
Where is the best place to position your carbon monoxide detector?
Anywhere in the van, because it's not a big enough space to be distance related, approximately level with where your head is when you're in bed. That's the point when you want the most amount of warmth. You want it to be screaming its head off if you're asleep in bed. Yeah?
So if it's on the ceiling, it's not going to
They're useless. And unfortunately, all the manufacturers, for cosmetic reasons, when they fit them nowadays in the new vans that they have to, stick them right up there. And they really want to be somewhere where it's a bit ugly and doing the best about it.
Gas. Yes, it works.
Yes.
It's okay.
So I don't know what else you've got in the way of safety on the gas system. The fridge itself is well capable of running while you are travelling. But you must remember then, the moment you went through a garage forecourt, if it's still on, you've just broken the law. Enter the garage forecourt with a naked flame. That's considered a naked flame, isn't it? There are systems that you can put on the gas system that will allow you to use most of your appliances when you're travelling, as long as they are what we call E-rated. 95% you'll not forget it if you've got nothing E-rated apart from a blown air heater here and there. I'm still about, if you've got any questions. One last one.
How long does it take before carbon monoxide kills you?
How long?
How long? Those people sitting over there.
Depends on the amount of carbon monoxide you're talking about. If you're talking about what I did over there, 2 hours maybe, but you'd be sat in there talking and going drowsy and not knowing it was doing it. You're not going to know it's happening. It's not something occasionally because you've got a bit of headache, go out the room, so they got headache. They didn't go and sleep you, they got carbon monoxide poisoning. It slows the brain processes down. You just don't think sensibly and you just slowly die for it. You know, it's a horrible thing. And it kills more people in leisure industry vehicles than anything else. At the present moment, we look at about 6 or 7 a year. But we've got that down from over 50, 20 years ago. But nearly all of them are where people have been playing with their own appliances rather than having them serviced properly. We get fires with idiots who shouldn't be playing with them, who say they are, but we tend not to get people dying from carbon monoxide from it because they do at least clean the burners and make sure the burners are.
So if you've got somebody servicing your fridge, does it need to be, like, would a gas service guy know what he's doing?
Well, I would not approach anybody to work on my gas system that was not at the very minimum 8 cots gas register. They've just brought in a new registration scheme that I don't know the name of, but it's the equivalent of that. And if you ask, everybody will tell you where they are or aren't. It's like if your boiler at home plays up, you don't even ask the bloke next door to come and have a look, do you?
It's not legal.
Yeah? He might say he knows what he's up, but you wouldn't really trust that.
It's not legal though, is it? It's not like domestic gas. You don't actually have to be Corgi registered or anything.
No, you don't. No, nobody has to be Corgi registered to work on your domestic stuff at home, apart from there are things called liability laws. Now, I've just talked to you quite a lot about things that I really shouldn't, because some of you, and trust me, I do glance around a room before I start and try and gauge some intelligence. Because if you start doing things that I've said and you really aren't capable of it, I'm now legally liable. That's how the law stands. I carry £52 million worth of public liability insurance. I pay £5,000 a year for it. Yeah, because I work on gas, electric, and we do it on people's vehicles right across the industry. And we get it wrong occasionally. Thankfully, we've never hurt or harmed anybody, but I will hold my hands up now because I've started to talk about it. We blew all the windows out of somebody's van 4 years ago. And I mean all of them. Windscreen, everything. Because we had a phone call in the middle of a gas job. And so now we've put in procedures where every gas job is double signed off. It's not just checked by one person ever. Because that was me. I got took a phone call. in the middle of a job. Didn't turn the gas valve back on before we did gas check, so it didn't show up. But if you're going to do work on your van, that's fine. You're perfectly allowed to do work on your own van. But the bloke next door is immediately liable if he touches it. It's nobody him saying, "Oh, I wasn't qualified for stuff." He is now liable legally in court. And if I catch him, I'll make sure they get prosecuted. So I spend an awful lot of money making sure that we try to do it as safe as we can. And in that right, them coming along, it's not safe, it's not good. And that little thing there is the most dangerous thing we have. That's why when they asked me to do fridges today, I said I would. I'm getting lots of, "Come on, he's going to finish in a minute now, so I'm going to turn this off." Any questions?